Thanks for joining. So, this one is the Infrastructure Security Consultant course, and following the syllabus, we are today discussing MPLS. So, MPLS is a really complex topic because it is built in by many pieces of the puzzle. And today I will go through each and explaining why it's critical security-wise. You can't have a lesson about infrastructures that doesn't mention about MPLS. MPLS is at the center of your core infrastructure, is at the center of complex transformation like SD-WAN. So there is a lot of marketing also in the picture and a lot of misunderstanding of what is actually going to change. So MPLS is the core also of your east-west traffic segregation, and a lateral move of an attacker across the MPLS is not unusual. Is actually one of the key vector moving around an organization. So there are historical reasons also behind certain MPLS choices. You see how the technical implementation can change also the incident response visibility of that. And it's critical for you to have an understanding of a basis when you look at the incident response. And so when you are doing a review of an infrastructure, you need to understand not just what MPLS is, but how it gets implemented and how it can change the visibility of your SOC. So let's start. Historically, MPLS was sold by kilometers. So two branch office needed to connect to each other. You were contacting the provider. You are asking a connectivity between the two, and it was billed by kilometers. It was not scalable, extremely expensive, and the cost of maintenance was anyway closing you to just one provider. And so generally you had to pay the properties of a fiber and the maintenance of that, and it wasn't scalable as business model too. So it moved into lease, and so is the service provider to guarantee the security and the fact that that circuit is private. And the picture that you see right now from Wikipedia is anyway how it's generally done. So you are having location A, you do have a demarcation line that is used also in incident response. So where you see this the router of MPLS is actually having generally also a firewall. There is the demarcation line. If there is an incident happening in location A through location B, you should access to the logs of the service provider as well, because like that you can monitor what passed through. So this one is the first complexity, because if location A connects to location B, it does probably through encrypted traffic. So the fact that you are having access to a pickup file into the MPLS, it's not always to give you automatically visibility, because it's all based also on which layer. So if it's encrypted traffic, is obviously tunneled through the MPLS that generally integrate also VPN. So if we move through how it evolved, many had the need to encapsulate this MPLS through a one connectivity. And so we landed in EVPN. EVPN is the sum up of an encapsulation from layer 2, where you are having the MPLS and the VXLAN. Now let's focus on VXLAN. Why VXLAN is so important? VXLAN is the extension at layer 2 across two geographically distributed infrastructures. Why is important? if you look at the MPLS demarcation line and you consider a normal NAT, network address translation, happening here, you can imagine the location B is not seen as a source address who is really generating that traffic, because there is NAT in the network path. And so you need to understand how VXLAN is becoming critical to be capable to have location A and location B to see each other MAC address and understanding what is generated by who. So the encapsulation of all this technology is adding complexity, because it's actually all encapsulated one in one and you are having the VPN. So is this one giving visibility at layer 7 from an SSL standing point? No. So capture traffic here is quite net flow. There is a really good project called Moloch that now changes archive that give you the capability to have visibility, search, you can export the pickup, you can see this platform is actually what your service provider like Verizon or wherever, whoever else is providing you. So when you talk about MPLS security, most of the time you depend on your provider, and he is going to give you this kind of visibility. In the offering historically of a service provider, they are capable within the MPLS to have a network function virtualization and be capable to spin service within this MPLS. So the capabilities to have NFV and have a marketplace where you can spin services gave way more flexibility from a security standing point. So if you have a good provider that it does give you the capability to spin services, you could have a tons more visibility. Obviously, from an incident response perspective, considering that this one will be your own company, is critical. You do trust and you have a trusted boundary with the provider, because if there is a misconfiguration within the MPLS in a leased line, that is a big problem. But the picture is changing and complicating even more, because right now with EVPN, as you see, we are having MPLS routed on the wide area network using VXLAN. In an SD-WAN perspective, I'm using Cisco, Juniper documentation. I'm jumping all around all provider, but they do have a clear picture of what we'll have. You'll have edges orchestrated by the SD-WAN orchestrator with policy, and you'll have MPLS into the one. So you can understand how security-wise the picture is changing. You have two problems. Generally, MPLS was attached to the bottom of your company within your trusted domain, and so it was in LAN. So your biggest concern was how you were doing east-west. Here, the trusted boundary is moving, and the second problem is that now you are routing all this MPLS traffic up to the edge here. So that means that the compromise of the edge is giving access to what before was way inner within your infrastructure. I do have a video dedicated to SD-WAN where I go through all of this way more deeper, and is in my channel. Look for SD-WAN demystified video. You'll have there a good walkthrough. But my point is right now, all your east-west traffic policies are actually within a wide a WAN connectivity and enforced by probably a cloud services. So you can change, you can see how the threat model is changing. And I'm not here to say better or worse, but for sure the threat model is changing. So MPLS east-west traffic was already difficult before due to the fact that you had the service provider that needed to give you visibility. Now with SD-WAN, you have potentially cloud services because the orchestrator can be also on-prem, but you understood what I mean. And you do demand the application routing to a device into an edge, so quite exposed. Obviously, that edge is having API for orchestration, and so as you see, you are merging what the threat modeling of SDN plus the threat modeling of the MPLS plus the scalability and the games that you'll do around it. Because tomorrow you'll plug this MPLS into cloud service because your backend need to have connectivity to something that was on-prem. This picture is like the evolution, and everybody want to show you a revolution, but is just a small step ahead. What is happening right now? You have a dedicated link to cloud, like ExpressRoute or whatever else, and they are attached and routed through your connectivity. But you do have a lot of control into routing terms because it's in the inner core infrastructure. At the time that everything will move into orchestration and so exposed on the edge, you can understand where a policy pushed by an attacker that compromise your SD-WAN fabric can let an attacker to own your entire company. And it's not just a fear-mongering kind of marketing here. I'm just talking technically. So what I find is people understanding one piece of a technology and not seeing the big picture. If you are looking into infrastructure, you need to have the full picture also where is at layer 7, where is proxified, where is the silent shake taking care happening, and you need to understand how the complexity of the SD-WAN is lying in the means that the marketing is lying, is telling you something that is not true. You do have a proxy capability on the edge. If somebody enable it because it changed it in the policy, an attacker can sniff and is capable to seeing clear everything. If your MPLS contain also a tokenizer, that is a big problem. So you need to think about the Russian doll. Each layer contains something. And so care will want that each layer is secured, but the overall orchestration is secure too. You can see how much room you are having as attacker to find some gaps because some company risk to go into a plumbing problem where they just route stuff right to left. And the picture will be the one that you see here. MPLS 4G internet routing all in one. So is slashing cost is decreasing complexity because it's actually capable to be policed and enforced by one layer, but is demanded by an orchestrator. And the responsibility of the service provider that you use to have an ELISE line is becoming a shared responsibility that is crossing also the shared responsibility of a cloud provider. So it's a tough topic. I can understand if I lose somebody along the way. I I beg you to see SD-WAN demystified video and re-watch this video if you lost something. Is in my YouTube channel. Is not in the playlist of the course because it's one of the topic that I dealt with because it's extremely popular right now because CTO are trying to scale the infrastructure, make it more hybrid, and is a logical way to go. But a compromise there into this picture is a big issue, threat modeling wise. So the suggestion as infrastructure security consultant is if you deal with legacy, think about VXLAN, trying to understand if there is nothing and if you see a net flow, if it's useful. Because if everything is netted by an MPLS and demarcation line, it's quite useless. You are collecting data for nothing. See if your provider can give you access to something like Moloch, and if you are having capabilities to search, having VXLAN enabled. This one is the summary of the conversation. If you scale up into a modern picture where the MPLS will be routed through one by an EVPN, because at the end SD-WAN is using EVPN too, try to see the security of all layers and don't forget the orchestration, because the orchestration, like in this picture, through a cloud services in a shared multi-tenant environment, it's going to add you some trouble, or at least you need to think about it. Consider the proxy of the edge, because if it's taking is happening that is having proxy enabled, an attacker compromising the edge is having access to everything. This one is the sum up of the layers of complexity that you should think about MPLS. I didn't touch what is MPLS, whatever, because you have tons. Go Juniper is having a wonderful training, is for free. Cisco is having a lot of training, but it's not for free. And look into what is the technology, but come back when you understood, when you saw each corner of that into this big picture. Because actually, as an infrastructure security consultant, you should be capable to connect the dots. And so what I'm trying to teach you is to see the big picture and how each piece is connected. You see also technology RFC wise. Can you see how many RFC are anyway belonging to the EVPN? And so is a Russian doll. You have each topic having dependencies. So each security is important. From an incident responder perspective, see netted traffic is useless. Have not searchable net flow is useless. See how will be your aggregation of logs is interesting, but don't forget the orchestrator of everything because he is the master. Master is out of fashion terms, but you understood what I mean. Is the one that really see the big trouble. Compromise the orchestrator, and you wasted years and years of investment. Route badly the MPLS through one, believing only on the security of the VPN, and you are checkmated. And so the reason why I did the lesson of the VPN before my MPLS is for this one. You see how much marketing is lying. A VPN doesn't exist, is useless, is all time. No, it's not true. It's the basic of all modern technology too. In the same way, the proxy is still a big topic that you find in each lesson. So I hope you'll find it really interesting this topic because it does passionate me, and so I try to show you my passion for that. It's complex. This one is not a course for people that just approach. Is a course to make you see the big picture of the infrastructure. So suppose a bit of understanding. You saw the requirement of a course as well. You need to understand what is an infrastructure made of. Uh, Subscribe. You'll get new content. You see I'm quite active and I'm trying to keep it up. Uh, the I don't have much of a editing skill video wise. You see how simple Play Vanilla is, but I spend efforts to deliver content that you not find around. You see that is not copycat. I hope you'll appreciate and give me a like if you can. I will, I will appreciate that. Have a good one. Take care. See you the next lesson. The next lesson, let's come back to the is trusted against untrusted domain. It's a big sum up of all everything we saw. We always have trust in somebody, and so is the terms trusted and untrusted boundary still valid in architecture term? We will see next lesson. Take care. Have a good one, and thanks for having me. Cheers.